the amateur spies and nosers out of unorthodoxy. He wasn't being misogynistic, he was making a psychological observation. In his view, women, particularly in their role as caregivers and moral enforcers, tend to prioritize safety and compassion over risk and freedom. And that instinct, while natural, is easily weaponized by totalitarian systems. When conformity is marketed as compassion and control is rebranded as care, the state taps into the feminine psyche to enforce ideological obedience. Now consider this.
Consider this, please. Again, as I've been saying for the last 6 years, the difference between me and the media and the government, and now unfortunately even the fake conservatives that are trying to bring me down because they don't like how uncomfortable I make them feel. The difference between is that they will tell you what to think, and I'm just going to ask you to think by presenting you the real facts of the feelings.
Men will do almost anything to attract a mate, so when the state captures women through propaganda, redefining tyranny as empathy and compliance as virtue, men follow, especially those who can't compete in the traditional dating market. They feminize themselves and trade strength for submission. This is what evolutionary biologists call the sneaky strategy, low-status males mimicking feminine traits or moral positions in hopes of reproductive access.
This is why weak men make hard times.
And while all of this unfolds, families disintegrate. Single motherhood, a top predictor of poverty and social dysfunction.
Single motherhood, not single fatherhood, right? Single motherhood is the predictor of unfortunate life for innocent children. And by the way, 80% of US children and 81% of European children, which I would imagine Canadians are the same, since Mark Carney wants to make Canada like Europe, join the European Union, fatherless. 80% of children are primarily raised by females only. And this is why we have a decaying society, whether you like it or not.
Becomes the norm. Children from single-parent homes are far less likely to climb the economic ladder, and who steps in as provider and protector? Not the father, the state. But here's the kicker. The state is funded disproportionately by men, so rather than supporting the women they married and raised children with directly, men subsidize the state, which in turn provides for women through social programs. Why? Because women have been propagandized to see every relationship as a power dynamic, except one with the state, which is ironically the centralization of raw power. They've been told that to rely on a man is weakness, but to rely on a bureaucracy is empowerment. This is not progress. This is dependency with a new face. And both men and women are suffering. The childless, middle-aged woman and the incel are two sides of the same broken culture. A woman without her own child often directs her maternal instinct towards abstract causes, infantilizing minorities under the guise of social justice. What we are witnessing from psychologically unwell men and women is Nietzsche's concept of resentiment, envy dressed up as morality. The strong became evil, the weak became good, strength became
healthy, became asymptomatic. Remember, guys? Healthy person became asymptomatic, needed to be PCR tested and masked, regardless whether they are healthy or not. This is why I'm telling you guys, you are participating in your own destruction, and you cannot see the similarities how you've been used to destroy fathers, which is the ultimate protection that you can possibly have from the tyrannical genocidal government.
Tyranny. We now live in a pathologically soft society that sides even with those who harm it, where punishing crime feels unfair and victimhood is the highest virtue. Nietzsche called them the tarantulas, those who preach justice but act from bitterness. They don't want to uplift the weak, they want to drag down the strong. Orwell saw them too. Quote, most middle-aged socialists, while theoretically pining for a classless society, cling like glue to their miserable fragments of social prestige. In 1980...
That's why. Social prestige. So sad. And on a conversation of women and daughters raised by women, and Sarah Herha officially saying that she would rather do OnlyFans, and then blasting her bikini pictures after getting baptized with enlarged bottom because of the pool delusion. It's just like I don't know what to do with this. But yeah, tell me how my daughters are appropriately raised in this environment without protection provision their own farm. Tell me again, Anastasia Baras, that since I was not enough provider to Sarah, she considered to the OnlyFans. How pathetic and delusional and gaslighting you all are really.
We're seeing now a generation of girls that believe that the epitome of success and the dreams they should be dreaming is to go and do something like OnlyFans. Agencies are looking for girls that specifically look young. High school girls coming cashing checks that they were getting from OnlyFans. This is getting younger and younger, and it's a byproduct because of this over-sexualized culture, because of social media, and because of this OnlyFans phenomenon.
$1 million in a couple hours.
So yeah, tell me again how my daughters are properly raised in this environment. And on a conversation, what did I do with my life? This is from 5 years ago. 5 years ago. A whole year almost before Trucker Convoy and everything that unfolded after that. In case you were wondering why I do what I do.
What a day to... Hello, beautiful Vancouver! Woo! What a day to be alive. Happy Canada Day, everybody. Yes and yes. Who's excited to be alive? Who's excited to be Canadian? Who's excited to be free Canadian? Yes, you are. But obviously in the last 15 months, we needed a little bit of a reminder that we are free Canadians. And what can I say? I mean, it's a blessing to be here with all of you beautiful people. You know, to be in this opportunity to impact humanity. Trust me, I don't take it lightly. I take it with huge responsibility and everything that I've been doing going forward, not necessarily something different that I've done before, meaning that I always would be doing something to help others and ultimately help them make a difference in their lives and lives around them too.
You guys got that? Everything that I've been doing very publicly since 2020 is not different from what I've done for 20 years prior to 2020. For all the fake conservatives, we're gonna try to keep it PG-13. Why does it keep switching the sound off?
About living healthy, active lifestyle, ultimately help them make a difference in their lives and lives around them too. Being a health coach by trade primarily for the last 20 years, I've done that already, where I would be educating people about living healthy, active lifestyle. Do not rely on a big pharma and the government, and rely on yourself and take personal responsibility for your health and health of your loved ones, right? And it's amazing for me to see the projection of my personal life into this new world that I am.
Consistently educating, empowering, providing whatever resources and support necessary to people at small and large scale and nationwide scale. And you're going to continue saying that I am not appropriate to raise my children, right? Every time I pause, it's going to turn the volume off for some reason. I'm not going to pause it anymore. I don't have too much time, but...
Toronto, the Queen's Park. Let's give it up, Toronto, Queen's Park, everybody. You know, I know things get live streamed. People see it all around the world, and it's amazing.
5 years later.
I went to my first protest because, you know, I had a why, and that's what I want you to think about. What is your why? Why you've been doing what you've been doing for the last, 15 months, or maybe you're relatively new here. And by the way, this is actually a really good question. Who's here for the very first time? Like, you've never been to a neurologist before? Like, maybe somebody dragged you to
I'm recruiting.
Anybody bring you?
I never stop recruiting.
What about right? You like it, everything. What about last 6 months? Maybe somebody joined the last 6 months? Anybody? Yeah, there's a few people. So the point is, this is actually a good reflection. Why we don't have more new people here? Because we're not talking to enough new people, in my opinion, right? And I'll take personal responsibility for that as well.
I take personal responsibility for that. Anyone else?
Together for a specific purpose. And what is our why? My personal why, being even before COVID era, is to help the children. Because being a health coach, I would help children to get healthy, but through parents, because I would be working with the parents to help them, kick the junk food out and exercise and run some type of fit camps and whatnot. And ultimately, I knew by helping adults improve their choices and their lifestyle and their habits, I will also help the children. All right. So when I joined this new activist world and I went to my very first protest, it was to help the children ultimately. I have a son who was just 4 at that time, and he couldn't play with other children. He couldn't play go on a playground. And I already knew, himself and all the other children will be forced to wear the masks. And I'm like, no, we're not going to do any of that stuff. So Hugs of a Mask started within 3 months of me starting going to this protest life. And long story short, we have We All Essential.
By the way, I heard that my son was refusing to be masked on a plane when him with his mother Adele Tavlin and fake dad David Beans were flying somewhere. I don't know where to, but that is my son. Regardless of mind control, brainwashing, he always will be my son. He only has one real father. And fake dads will be exposed for mind control, child trafficking, and child abuse. Okay?
Will come in later and share how we've been growing that amazing initiative, helping the businesses to open up all around the country. And ultimately, what I kind of became into this position now where Make Canada Free Again is a platform for social change. So Make Canada Free Again kind of developed organically on its own as I was doing different activities and doing different initiatives. I realized we have to make Canada free again. And as I travel across the country and I do different live streams, some people kind of give me feedback, and I appreciate everybody's feedback, by the way. They say, why you say Make Canada Free Again? We're still free. Well, it depends how you look at it, right? Like right now, on Canada Day, on 2021, we have a pastor in jail in Alberta, and we have also political prison, like Kevin J. Johnson is still in prison. And those are just the ones that I know. I know there's other, individual freedom warriors actually also being prosecuted right now. You know where that happens? That happens in North Korea. That happens in China. That happens in Cuba. It definitely should not be happening in Canada. All right? Now, it's important for us to know where we're at because awareness is always step number 1. You want to know where you're at, and then you can actually be proactive in choices and actions that you take to change what's going on. Right? So, Make Canada Free Again is the statement and the social change platform with 5 separate initiatives that I'm developing with amazing volunteers, and I definitely need a lot more people to join. So if you'd like to help us really make a difference in our country, Canada, and make Canada free again, I have 5 dedicated initiatives that we can do quickly. Most of you know Hugs of a Mask, original human and civil rights activist movement in the COVID era. We All Essential is a business empowerment network, so we're empowering business owners to take a stand, to be educated about their rights, and making sure that they can open and operate their business without, government overreach and tyrannical restrictions. Because again, that happens in, tyrannical governments like Soviet Union, Cuba, China, and North Korea. And again, we don't want to have that here, right? Now, we're not full blown there yet, but do we have to wait to get there to do something about it? No, right? We have to do things right now, like literally right now. So the next.
Unfortunately, 5 years later, nobody's doing anything. As much as, again, people want to minimize the actual work that I've done, nobody did what I did before, and nobody's doing it after I've done it. Walking into Toronto Police Headquarters and calling out the police chief of Toronto for not doing his job. Okay? Putting people in danger, creating criminal situations that can lead to people's death and injuries and suffering of innocent children. Nobody's doing that. I've done that multiple times, and people want to minimize my work, right, Omari Taylor, and at the same time say that I should just go back to Canada, face the music, spend one night in jail and get out. I was arrested in airport with 3 warrants. I was denied bail. I was put under the stress manipulation situation, coercion with head prosecutor, crown attorney for Ontario, where she told me to my face, because they separated the charges, the new bail violations for which they denied me bail for, they separated from my original criminal trial, that I flew in on my own volition, on my own free choice. I flew back to Sherhol, Chinaistan on November 2023 to defend myself. I was self-represented against the prompt charges that they used. Adele Tevlin and Canadian government with Toronto police coerced me into taking a plea guilty, because they said even winning the trial, which I was going to win, they had no case and they knew it, I would still be locked up for God knows how long in maximum security detention facility, the facility that has been under investigation for hired killers in that facility. Okay, it's whatever it's called in the Tobico there, which basically looks like Shawshank Redemption. You know, orange jumpsuits, street search. You know, criminal violent offenders, that murderers, etc. This is who I was supposed to be spending countless days and months waiting for my next trial. All right, I spent one night in that facility. Hope was written on the wall of a cell that I spent the night with. Mexican power was written on two separate sides of the same cell in the walls. And I spent the night with an anti-vaxxer who recognized my hoodie on the right side of the history, and he told the guards to put me in a cell with him. And they, I guess, tried to hurt me there, but God protected me there, right? And after that, Sarah Herha couldn't think of anything better but kidnap my children back to Sherhol, Chinaistan, in an attempt to force me to go back there so they can end up putting me in jail and obviously dispersing of me whatever ways they were going to do that. And you know, Sarah Herha would be like Erica Kirk. So unfortunately, for Charlie Kirk, he was not as, I guess, aware of his surrounding. You know, awareness is step one. So, you know, I had a few years on Charlie Kirk, and I had a very different upbringing on streets of USSR, Kazakhstan. Okay, as a 7-year-old, making it happen, doing whatever I need to do. So, you can watch the rest of this. It's on my Facebook. Actually, it's James Lowen that recorded this and posted this. I always appreciate James Lowen, one of the most professional freedom videographers that we have, and he lives in Vancouver. This is on Vancouver Beach, by the way. This is Sunset Beach, and if you know Kitsilano Beach, there was a guy, crazy guy, smashing women's head with baseball bat. That was the Kitsilano Beach where I also held the rallies. On this beach, we were holding the rallies too, and I was doing fit camp. Fit camp I do all across North America, and I continue doing it now in Europe, in Cyprus, and now Poland. This is what I've been consistent with, in impacting and improving people's lives. And I'm not able to give that example to my own children because dusty females are too scared of showcasing how incompetent mothers they are. But it's much worse now. They are showcasing how abusive they are to their own children, to mind control them, to be fatherless for these countless of years. Today is July 7th. It's 3 days away from 2-year anniversary for my innocent daughters to be fatherless because of very selfish, very there's many adjectives I can use, but you know I'll use some control, I guess, to focus on the message. The message is that we have to protect all children. There's no safer place for the daughters than under provision and protection of their own father, and anyone who is interfering with that is 100% responsible for any harm coming to those children because the father is prevented to protect his own children. So Judgment Day is coming on everyone. All children will be returned to the Father. So help me, God. No weapons formed against me shall prosper. So help me, God, to Palestine. Peace.